We are welcomed by the commentators of the show, Jesse Ventura and Jim Ross, on commentary. I probably asked you this before, but where does Jesse rank? Let's have a Mount Rushmore from you. I know everyone loves a list, a definitive list of the greatest colour commentators of all time. Where does Jesse fall on that?
In my book, number 2. He's right behind Bobby. He and Bobby both very different styles. Bobby Heenan, of course. Bobby could have been a stand-up comedian. I mean, he was just a funny guy. Jesse, different, but Jesse was quick-witted. I, as a commentator, I didn't have that. I can't remember a joke to save my life. And I'm not as quick-witted as Jesse is. That come off of that, boom, that quick little adage you're going to throw in there right now that perfectly suits to what's on screen. Mine was more to approach it from a point of view of, as an analyst, as a world champion, what am I seeing here? Explaining why this is a good approach or a bad approach. More analytical. Those guys had something that I was always envious of, because when you're on camera, especially live television, ain't no retakes, right? As Sid would later find out. Mm-hmm. So you got to be quick enough to be in front of that camera. And what stuck out at me with this show is when Bill comes on at the beginning, very matter-of-factly, very informatively, laying out information, remembered a whole lot of names and different angles, and that ain't easy. Like when you're doing the spot specifics. Okay, we're going to do a promo for Charleston, West Virginia, and you're going to wrestle Taz, and it's going to be on Saturday, November 13th, and it's going to be this and that. You can watch on Channel 7. You got to remember all that and then do the promo and then go to the next one. And that's sort of all, you're there all day doing that. It starts to bleed into each other. So Bill coming out and having this whole company in his head and all these other things going on, plus the business side, and then going on camera and remembering these things and hitting them and laying them out there and saying them. Tony Schiavone, the same thing. Again, there's no point where you can say, I screwed it up. Let's start over. But these guys have done this, right? I see, like, you look at Jesse, just one step down for Bobby Heenan, because Bobby could be that humorous while you wanted to strangle him. Like, you laugh while you wanted to choke him. Jesse, you just wanted to choke, right? If you were a babyface fan. But really quick-witted, and you listen to, like, the things he's saying through the show, these little things that he's throwing in there. Some are well-placed, some are ill-timed, but it's quick-witted. He's coming up with that stuff. There's no script in front of him. Then you have Jim Ross, of course, quintessential play-by-play guy. And then Tony doing the segments in between. It really looked like a well-oiled commentary team. And, so I would say on that Mount Rushmore, as color commentators go, those two would be 1 and 2. And then, behind that, I would say Jerry Lawler for sure. Jerry's so fun to a substrate of the Bobby Heenan school. I don't think he's quite as funny as Bobby, but he's quick-witted, and can throw those things in, and makes it go really. And even though he was more like a play-by-play guy, I always saw Gene Okerlund as sort of that guy that straddled between the two, because he would give the matter-of-fact point of view, the straight man shtick. But then he'd also, at the end of it, like, throw some little comment in, that you'd listen to and just sort of chuckle at. As far as announcers go, to me, Joey Styles, and it's taking nothing away from anything, I think Joey Styles was the best, because he didn't have somebody to play off of in all those times. Those are, even though we were doing VOs in ECW, understand what a VO is. You're doing live to tape. So if you screw it up, you're going to go back and do it again from the beginning and do it again and do it again. And Joey, I don't ever recall Joey having to never go back and do it again. So yeah, but there's so, there's a lot of great announcers in wrestling, and the best of them, I think, can imbue those characters. What I disliked also personally from a color commentator's point of view is, in this case, Jesse and Bobby were both heels, so they're obviously just proponing the heel's point of view. A real expert on something could begrudgingly say something positive about a babyface, or vice versa. It doesn't mean you have to say that they're the greatest of all time or anything, but somebody throws a touchdown pass, hey, it's a touchdown pass. And so I when I approached it was sort of try to come more from that analytical point of view, in large part because I didn't have the wit that Jesse had, and I couldn't remember jokes like or nearly as funny as Bobby was. But yeah, to me, they're 1 and 2 for sure.
Not that you asked for my opinion, but I'd switch him. I'd say Jesse number 1 because he was big time. When Jesse was on commentary, that was big time, and when Bobby was on commentary, it never felt quite as big time. So
really,
yeah. Well, okay, I think it's just because Jesse did the first 6 WrestleManias in a row, and when he's on but also he's got the more commanding voice. He's a little less comedic. I thought his chemistry was bob on with Vince McMahon, especially, and Gorilla Monsoon, and there was. It's funny actually because I'd written this down as well. This does pertain to this clash. Is that both Jesse and Jim Ross have both admitted that it was Jim Ross's fault why their chemistry was not as good as Jesse's with the other two. Because I think Jesse's way of saying it was, well, Jim wouldn't sell my stuff. I'd throw out a really obvious line and Jim wouldn't bite on it. And I just don't think those two got on personally that well anyway. And I think even Jim's held his hand up and said, I could have been more receptive.
Yeah, I mean, professional to say Jesse could be a bit grating, believe it or not. We would have some. I was telling Moose last night we'd have some in the dressing room, some real heated political discussions, and it would always end with him go, "Well, you know what you're talking about," and he'd walk out, right? Just cut it off, So, but yeah, it's again, me putting Bobby at number 1 is only because I think. Again, in that sports entertainment system, and what they would take wrestling to, Bobby so fit into that, and the last time I saw Bobby, one of the last times, he'd had the surgery, no jaw, and we're at WrestleCade, and I see his wife pushing him in his wheelchair. So I gave my bag to Moose. I'm like, give me that. I'm pushing down. So we get there, and she calls inside to the vendor. The vendor comes out and meets. So we go inside and we get on the elevator. And the vendor looks at the things going. And Bobby says something, and please understand, I am not making fun, but this is what it sounded like with no jaw. And his wife starts laughing. She smacks him on the shoulder. I said, what did he say? She goes, he said, that's the first time I've ever seen somebody get lost in an elevator. And, it was so typically Bobby Heenan, just so perfect for that second. That he does this 24 hours a day. This isn't just when he's on camera. But Jesse, having been that big star in wrestling, certainly brought some of that panache with him too. You'll probably ask 10 other people and get 5 that say Bobby, 5 that say Jesse, 6, 4, whatever. But it's it's going to be in the eye of the beholder. But suffice it to say, both of them are phenomenal at it.